Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. Today's video is part 1 of my recap for the 2022 anime Love After World Domination. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers, so please consider subscribing. Thank you. Our protagonist Fudo is asked by a girl named Desumi to try some cookies she baked. She is a bit worried, but he says they are shockingly delicious, which she is delighted to hear. He appreciates the nice weather on their date and the fact that he can be with the person he loves the most, telling her he is the luckiest man in the universe. However, just below them, we see a group of costume heroes fighting a mob of villains. Fudo can't help but stare at her beauty, making her a bit uncomfortable. She clarifies not because she doesn't like it, but just because she isn't used to it. Fudo then says that according to his research, couples are supposed to hold hands. She is a bit hesitant as it's only been their third date, and he reveals that statistics show that it typically happens on the second or third, making her realize how incredible the average couple is. Their hearts pound as she begins to give in, but they are interrupted and end up battling instead. It is explained that Fudo is actually the leader of Freezing Sentai Gelato 5, and Desumi is the leader of the secret society Gecko. After Blue Gelato leaves, they stop pretending to fight and are excited to see they finally managed to hold hands. We then get a look back to the day Fudo worked up the courage to confess his feelings for Desumi. We go back 1 week earlier to the Gelato headquarters training facility. Fudo is met by his teammate Haru, and they go to a team meeting together. On the way, they see that Hayato fails miserably at asking a girl on a date. They meet up with the final members of the group, Misaki, Daigo, and their commander Professor Big Gelato. The meeting is about the secret society Gecko that is plotting world domination, and how the appearance of their new member, the Reaper Princess, has made them more formidable than ever. An alarm sounds and the team head out to battle the Gecko. They get into their uniforms and explain the significance of their colors in reference to gelato flavors. The mob is clearly no match for the team's overpowered attacks, but the Gecko monster bear reveals the battle is not over. The Reaper Princess joins the fight, and Fudo commands that he will take her while the others handle everyone else. Their fight would be cut short, however, as the bear is defeated and requests that they retreat. The Reaper Princess is very impressed that he was able to keep up, and looks forward to their next meeting. Back at the base, Big Gelato commends Fudo on his excellent work ethic, considering he continues to train even after a fight. However, he eventually questions if he ever has anything better to do than exercise. Fudo explains that there is just something on his mind. Big Gelato knows him well and assumes it must be issues of world peace or the nature of justice, but Fudo reveals that he is just thinking about the woman he loves. He explains that he has never been in love before, but he will never be able to tell her since he is a hero. But Big Gelato very much disagrees. Hero or not, he says Fudo is still human and should tell her how he feels, as love will bring him to the next stage of his life. Later, we see that Fudo has asked the Reaper Princess to meet, and she obviously assumes it's to finish up their fight. After a long, awkward pause, Fudo can only blurt out the words, "I love you." She doesn't know how to respond, and he goes on to say that he has felt that way since the moment they met. She reminds him that they are mortal enemies, but he says that means nothing. She then believes to have figured out what is actually going on. She says that he must know that she has no experience with such things and is just teasing her to throw her off. She knows that no man could ever love her, as she is the type to have rumors spread about her, like her eating bears and looking for men to beat up at night. Fudo reveals how that can't be true since he knows what her favorite foods actually are, and that she actually does Pilates at night, which just makes her think he's a creep. She says people think she is some kind of powerful alien, but he says he knows she was born in Hakata. She is in disbelief of his knowledge, and he reveals that he learned it all from her social media accounts, explaining that all the replies from Protein Man were from him. She again reminds him that they are enemies, but he says they can make it work, and formally asks that she be his girlfriend. She finally agrees, but wants him to know that she has no knowledge of the mechanics of dating, and he says that's fine because he doesn't either. Back to the present, Desumi shows him a picture of her cat, and he can't help but notice her in the picture. They genuinely enjoy each other's company, but she reminds him that they can't let anyone find out about them, or they won't be able to stay together. However, they both express optimism that one day they will be able to show the world. However, Yellow Gelato appears, and Desumi beats him up. They exchange insults at each other to put on a good act, and she leaves. Later, we watch another battle between Gelato 5 and the Gecko. The two leaders face off and demonstrate their ability to understand each other without saying a word, when they choreograph their pretend fight just by looking at each other. After finding a place where they could be alone, Fudo wonders why they sit further apart than usual, and Desumi explains that she fears she may be smelly after such an active fight. However, Fudo says that he would never leave no matter how awful she smells. She seems a bit upset and he begins to take her picture because he thinks it's cute. She explains that he should use her phone instead, and they pose for a photo together but grow nervous when they realize that they are closer than they have ever been. He forgets to open his eyes as he is too distracted by her wonderful scent when yellow gelato appears. He fears they have been caught but turns to see that Desumi quickly pretended to be defeated. A reporter then interviews Fudo asking about his thoughts on Reaper Princess, and he manages to be extremely complimentary while also hiding the relationship. Finally, the reporter asks what everyone wants to know. Does he have a girlfriend? He wants to say yes, but Misaki shows up to say he could never have one as all he worries about is bodybuilding. Though she does think he should learn a bit about the feminine heart and reveals that they will be taking applications for a date with Fudo, even prompting the reporter to consider trying her luck. Desumi is a bit jealous of his growing female fan base, but he said that she is the only girl for him and he would do anything for her. Hearing this, she requests that they go on an actual date, since she was always convinced she would never get the chance. He of course says yes, but later reveals to himself that he has no clue what is done on a date. Later, he is overwhelmed when doing research about it, and Misaki shows up thinking she is responsible because of her date application idea. She explains that all he needs to do is pick an activity they both enjoy, and he is elated considering he believes he has found the truth about dating. On their date, they compliment each other's disguises, and he reveals he has planned their entire date. She looks forward to it, but is surprised to see that their first destination is a historic training gym. After a grueling workout, they go for a run, and Fudo realizes just how wonderful dating is when they do things he enjoys. He then says that she must be getting hungry and that they should eat, so he pulls out a protein bar, explaining that there is plenty where that came from. She excuses herself to the bathroom and Fudo thinks about how perfectly things are going. Just then, he gets a call from Misaki who says she was drunk and left out important rules for dating. He wants to know, pretending it's for future reference only. She says firstly, don't wear gym clothes like he usually does. Then, she will be dressed up, so no activities that will cause her to get sweaty or dirty. And finally, make sure to take her to a nice restaurant. He then realizes that he had done everything wrong and it is no wonder why she hasn't come back. Still determined, he goes to look for her as he promises to do better if he had another chance. In that moment, she reappears and explains she was stuck at a store buying drinks for them and wants to continue the conversation they were having. Fudo is surprised but also relieved to hear that she was actually enjoying the date, and that she is happy just as long as she's able to be with him. She explains that even if the world thinks they're weird for dating, they are who they are, and that's all that matters. He recalls the same feeling he had the first time he ever saw her, and the two go in for a kiss. However, they are interrupted by alerts and must head to battle. The only problem is, when the ferocious battle begins, they are both far too distracted. Afterwards, we are brought into the Gecko women's dorm and are introduced to Desumi's precious little kitty, Helko, who is in disbelief that people actually fear Desumi as the Reaper Princess, explaining she is just your average everyday girl who cries about the rumors told about her and wonders if she will ever find love. However, one day she returned home and was much happier about everything. Helko knows why, referring to Fudo as a goon. She claims that if he were ever to make her mistress sad, he would pay dearly. Later, we see that 2 weeks have gone by and that the Gecko haven't been causing any trouble. Fudo is glad there is peace, knowing no one wants to fight if they don't have to. However, if he doesn't fight, then he won't be able to see Desumi. An alarm goes off, revealing a mission to infiltrate the Gecko base and destroy a new weapon they have developed. It is a very dangerous mission, but Fudo heroically volunteers and is commended as a true hero. His intentions, however, are to see Desumi. The Reaper Princess arrives at her base and everyone makes note of how murderous she seems lately. However, she knows it's only because she hasn't seen Fudo. The monster bear shows up and reveals his new weapon he intends to use to atomize the heroes. He looks at her dangerous pouch, knowing that it is specifically made for concealing weapons. It's not. She continues her walk when she is surprised by Fudo and takes him to her dressing room. She scolds him for doing something so dangerous, but they both admit how much they wanted to see each other. Back at base, Fudo's teammates worry for his safety. However, back at Gecko, we see that he is enjoying a game of Uno. Desumi receives a transmission and instantly jumps into action to hide Fudo. She is warned of an intruder, and when the transmission ends, she must apologize for sitting on him. The monster bear begins to enter, and again she must act fast. She accidentally ends up stuck with Fudo as he complains how something is making it difficult to breathe. The bear grows skeptical of the slight movements of the locker as the two panic about Desumi's wardrobe. Fubo is ejected from the locker, knocking out the bear and causing his weapon to go off, destroying it and causing major damage to the enemy's base, living up to the title of hero in the eyes of his teammates. Later, Desumi apologizes for being a poor host and tends to Fubo's cut. He compliments her bag and finally remembers to give her his phone number. Now they will be able to talk whenever they want, and she cautiously asks if she can call him tonight, which he would love. That night, she nervously makes her first call to him, only to have Fudo's mother answer, which prompts her to ask that he buy his own phone. Sometime later, the Gekko have a meeting with their supreme leader, Bosslar. He commends them on their success so far in accumulating negative emotions of humans, which he uses as a power source for creating new monsters in the hopes of furthering their goal of world domination. The purpose of this current meeting is deciding who their next target will be, and they take turns making suggestions. They are all pretty incompetent, however, one not even being able to speak at all. Desumi's suggestions are all date destinations, and Bosslar scolds her for it. However, the bear explains that one of her ideas, the amusement park, would be filled with unsuspecting humans. Desumi would then text Fudo as he struggles to figure out how to use the smartphone. He has a memory of their discussion about nice date destinations and how they will all be unlikely for them to do. So the two are excited when she reveals that the Gekko's next target will be the theme park they wanted to go to. Fudo then struggles to ask his phone to give him the weather conditions for Sunday, and Misaki is surprised to see the bodybuilding goblin have a smartphone in the first place. She realizes something must be going on, claiming he can't hide anything from the mistress of meddling. Sunday arrives and we see that Misaki and Haru are spying on Fudo, who is bombarded with his adoring fans. The monster bear notices that there are at least 3 of the gelatos there and recommends they retreat and regroup, but it's too late. Desumi says they have been spotted, which they haven't, and says they must attack. The couple see each other and almost accidentally use their real names. The spying girls then think that he's there because he must have known of Gekko's intentions and was just doing his heroic duty. They join the fight but also speak of how honest and admirable of a leader he is, just as he decides on a theme park attraction with Desumi. Fubo would learn that he gets motion sick after they go on several rides, and Desumi is glad they are getting to learn so much about each other. Fubo remarks how seconds ago he had felt discomfort on the ride, but after touching hands he hopes that he never touches the ground again. However, the battle has ended and they must return to their groups. The day comes to an end and everyone heads home. However, Haru stops for a moment as she notices a picture of Fudo on a ride with a girl. Thanks for watching part 1 of this series. Future parts will be linked in a pinned comment below.